So keep adding to the chat. You know, who you are and which organization you're from. But we shall start now. So as we know, it's kind of a crisis that has brought us together, but kind of the silver lining within that is the fact that because of this, online fundraising comes to the fore. The need for, just like the need for nurses and PPEs became more relevant to the world, the need for online communications and outreach became important. So we are so glad that you felt the need, that we felt, Asim and I felt. So today what we wanted to really do is, one, find out from you what are some of the things that you need help with to become really astute. You know, we are so good at gala dinners, you know, we can have a soapy on it. We're so good at walkathons, jogathons, you know, flag days. We've been doing it since the 80s. Now, in this century, how do we create a SOP for online and digital fundraising? So that's what we want to help you with, to co-create, and hence we called it co-create. You know, Asim and I called it co-create. Two, we want to share with you some of the insights that we have been noticing in the past 3-4 weeks, especially in the past 2 weeks, with the solidarity announcement that came early in the year, early in the month. And three, of course, is to hear from you what are some specific ways in which you want to help, because we are also looking at how can we bring other collaborators to help our nonprofit sector, in addition to what Asim and I can do. How can we help you with other resources to make your online fundraising a reality? Because the more, you know, the better you do, the better it is for our country and for us as nonprofits to rise up to the occasion. So Asim, you have a little poll, right, that you want to, we would like to share. So Asim is going to send you a poll. Okay, a couple of ground rules. You know the chat, so you have been identifying where you are from and your organization and your name, so that's useful. If you want to say something, feel free to add to the chat. If you have a question, look at the bottom of your screen. There is a Q&A tab. Open that and you can add your questions there. We will try and answer them online here and now. And those we cannot be promised. We will go through each of the questions and you will receive emails from us to ensure. So if you haven't read in your registration, you would be able to see it. You know, if we will know your email address. In that email, we will respond to your questions. And then we have the poll. Asim, you want to start the poll? Just to get a feel of where we are, where you are.
Yes, so we're going to launch this poll. There are 2 questions, and I just launched the poll. If you can go to the polling section at the bottom of the webinar and start taking this poll. It's a very simple poll. The first question is, do you have a COVID-19 online fundraising strategy in place? Yes or no? And how confident are you raising online donations in the next 3 months? Not confident, moderately confident, very confident. Great. So we are seeing the responses come in. Yeah, great. Okay, we are waiting for a few more responses. We already have 40 responses. Waiting for another 20 people.
20 more?
Yes.
We would love for you to do it so that, you know, it makes it easy for us to do it to help you in the area of.
Yes. Yes. All right. So we have about 80%. Waiting for another 12 people.
Just a couple more seconds and we will move on. And if you have questions already, you can post them on those of you who have already polled, you can put in your questions in the question and answer tab. Or if you're on those on Facebook, those who did not register to this webinar can watch us live on Facebook. But that's more for the wider audience. You stay here.
I think we can go ahead.
Yeah,
we have 85% of responses. Yeah.
Perfect. As to why the others, I guess you checked logged on and then you went to have makan, is it? No kidding. Okay. Hi, Asim. One of the challenge I'm facing in some of the charity sector, receiving most of the, however, for charities like mine as in which, when you, Darren, which organization or what sector you were in, if you can put that, it'll be easy. It may not be apparent to donors how we are affected. Any suggestion, idea? Okay, we do have ideas, but Darren, will you please highlight which sector you're working in so that we can customize it to your response? Okay, cool. Thanks for the poll response. We will share with you some of the outputs after the webinar. So let's go to a couple of things.
I'll just quickly share the responses. So do you have a COVID-19 online fundraising strategy? We had about 25 people say yes, and we had about 29 people say no. So it's almost like 50-50. And then how confident are you of raising online donations in the next 3 months? Actually, 60% people are moderately confident. We have 24% who are not confident, and we have about 13% who are very confident.
Okay, well done.
Yeah.
So those of you who are in the 13%, since we're co-creating, we would love for you to share why you say that you are confident.
Yeah, there's 7 people who are very confident. If they want to raise their hands and they want to share, we would be happy to get you guys to share verbally or in a video format with what makes you confident. Yeah.
If you can put in the chat section, yes, I'm confident, because we will unmute you and you can actually share, because that's the whole idea. While Asim and I can share our insights and our knowledge, collectively we can do so much better. And if you have been blessed to be confident, might as well share it with the others who are moderately or not confident, so that they feel inspired also to do it as well as you do. So, all right, Gilbert Kwa, yes, I hear you. Thanks for coming. Okay, Darren is from the disability sector. Okay, we will come back to you, Darren, on that. And keep the questions rolling. We have a few more, but we will come to that when we come to that in a moment, yeah? Okay, so when we sent out a questionnaire, a Google Doc questionnaire to those of you who responded, and we are thankful to about 30 of you, 20, 30 of you that responded to it. They were basically saying, what are the top 2 opportunities you see? And these are some of the opportunities you saw. I'm clustering the answers, right? One is getting the opportunities to go online. You haven't been that busy online because we've been so busy with special events and other ways of raising funds. So it's an opportunity to make it online, 2, with the COVID breaker, a circuit breaker, and hopefully, or I don't know when, if there is a lockdown, all of us are at home. So chances are we are indeed spending time online. So hopefully we are more open to getting to, the links that you send or the appeals that you send. Third was COVID in itself, COVID-19 in itself, that a lot of people realize the hardships that many are going through. The general newspaper and all the news feed, social media feed is about the need in our community. And so our compassion levels, the trigger points are higher. And then, of course, the online fundraising platform. Some of you have your own website, but others have been utilizing GiveAsia, Giving.sg, and other platforms to do it. We will share with you a document of who are doing some of the different campaigns that are on. We've consolidated or compiled it so that you just get a feel of who else is doing what, so you can also learn from them. And then, of course, Some of you said because you have a fundraising strategy, or you don't have a fundraising strategy with an online component in the fundraising strategy. So that's the opportunity to create a strategy that includes online fundraising as a very important component of that strategy. So those are all the opportunities that some of you highlighted. If you have an opportunity that you see, especially the 7 to 8 of you who are very confident about your fundraising, do put it in the chat as to what is it that you see and that are opportunities that you're already leveraging. Yeah? Yeah, the 7 of you are very confident. And about 26 of you who have a online fundraising strategy. Talk about it, because together we can do better. Yeah? Okay. So, do we have any of you who want to talk about the opportunity that you are seeing that I haven't shared with you? The strategy, the online platforms, the COVID situation, the online audience that's staying at home now, as well as the potential to give through social media. Anything else that you think that we've missed out?
Yeah, I would just add, like, if anyone wants to speak, you can just raise your hands and we will unmute you so that you can speak. So feel free to raise your hands if you want to speak. So right now, I think there's Johnny and there's Cecilia, there's Marian. We have just allowed you to talk in case you want to say anything. Yeah.
All right. Okay, there is one question here. I'm not planning a gala in 2020-2021 and would engage. Okay, all right. Yeah, so some of it are responses to some of the questions which are not, it's more directly to us. We will keep that in mind. Okay, so the second thing that I asked was, what about Meowing is online, is it? Do you have something to say, Meowing?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, all right. Okay, then we will mute you. I assume you will mute my Meowing at this point in time. Yeah, so anybody has something to say in addition to typing, just tell us, and Asim will unmute you so that it is just making sure we are not 10 people talking at the same time. Okay, cool. The next question we asked was, what are some of the challenges that you face when you're focusing on your online fundraising? And what we had was, in terms of the challenges, the top 2 challenges, one was the organization in itself, that either you lack the knowledge or the expertise. Some of you said competition from other charities for donors. I have a whole opinion on that. You know, it doesn't matter which religion you belong to, ask and you shall receive, seek and you will find. So whichever, whether it's the Bhagavad Gita or the Bible or the Quran or the Torah, it always says, if you seek, you will find. In this case, you seek donors, you will find donors. But at the same time, yeah, all of us are trying to raise funds together, and maybe we should do it in solidarity, bake a bigger pie. That may be one way to go, so that our individual portions is bigger than if we try to bake a little muffin all for ourselves. Lack of data available on the profile of donors. Yes, and that's some of the resources that we were saying, that how can we help you do some of these analytics, so that you can do, you don't have to worry about you having the capabilities to do it. Uncertainty, delay in response, yes. Public issues like PDPA, yes, we should not give up on those. But when in a crisis, even like now, you take the temperature scan, you write down your name, your IC, your contact number, everything. PDPA is sort of, it is written on paper. So what PDPA? But having said that, doesn't mean that we should not follow rules. But when it is in a state of crisis, people do understand that sometimes you have to do certain things to contact them because it's a crisis. So they may have told you never to contact, but that was when it was business as usual. But if you tell them it's not business as usual, can we make this one call to you? I doubt they're going to throw the shoes at you because they know it's a situation of crisis and you're trying to reach out for your beneficiaries. And then still they said, no, please don't contact me. Sure, respect that. But I don't think anybody is going to get so upset that they will be, because you're trying to help someone else. So don't let some of these things be a hindrance. Ask for permission. Ask for permission that we'd like to one time reach out to you because it's a crisis, like you know. And maybe people will, so don't worry about too much about the PDPA. Generating content on a daily basis. You don't have to generate content on a daily basis. It's useful, but there are components of the content that you already have that you can talk about. And maybe we can share in the next segment when we're talking of ideas on how you take one story and have 5 different things happening from it. Some of you already have your newsletters. There's such beautiful stories in there. That content has already been, approved. Go back to your newsletters from the past few months and see what content you can pull from there that can become content. Don't sit at this point in time creating new content. You already have content that you need to repurpose and put online. Yeah, so if these are ideas that we are hoping will be helpful to you, and we'll keep this communication going. The other challenge was donors. Donors are unfamiliar with how to donate online. Okay, that's understandable. But now with all of us being locked out, now is a totally, they have the young people. They may be older donors who don't have a online savviness, but their sons or daughters or nieces, nephews are at home, grandkids are at home who are totally web savvy. Now is your time to say, uncle, will you talk to your son or whoever is at home to help you do this, and now everybody's at home. Now is the time for them to become savvy online. And hopefully this is the trigger point that changes our behavior to become online savvy in the future. Asim, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I think what I want to say is that with the COVID-19, there is a lot of transformation happening. Like, in terms of digital transformation, you must have seen this infographic that no CEO, no board member has been able to create this amount of digital transformation as COVID-19 has. So what happens in this age of digital transformation is that those who are quick and those who are agile in trying out and experimenting different types of fundraising campaigns, they stand in a better position to put their message in front of people and also get the donations. I actually want to give a shout out to Adrian, who actually put this message in Q&A about the importance of having a variety of campaigns in this period. And I want to see maybe at a later point to get Adrian's input on how many campaigns they are running at this point at Singapore Red Cross, because we definitely see at Give Asia that they are doing really well in terms of rallying their supporter base through a wide range of different campaigns. I'm aware there's a Grateful Hearts campaign, and there's a lot of other campaigns. So just to give you an example of some numbers on they have in 2020 started about 23 campaigns on Give Asia, and it has raised quite a phenomenal number. So I think that's something which charities have to come to understand, that what we are limited by is not a lack of resources. What we are limited by is maybe creativity. So we have to be creative in creating all these different types of campaigns, sharing real stories, as you were saying, Usha. There are amazing stories of beneficiaries which you already have, and you have to share those stories in this period with the public.
Agree. And this is where we call disaster preparedness, right? when it was tsunami or any other disasters, preparedness is part of and just like the Red Cross preparedness, they don't wait till the disaster happens. They're able to roll out many campaigns because they are prepared for it before it even happens. Hope and pray it never happens, but when it does happen, they're ready to take off fast. And that's another thing. When you think of your strategy, while we do the immediate philanthropy, we have to also think about the preparedness as and when. And I don't think in our lifetime something as big as COVID will happen. Just like 15 years back, we thought nothing like the tsunami will ever happen again, right, in our lifetime. Similarly, hopefully, nothing like the COVID will ever happen in our lifetime. But there's always little disasters that happen. Every day the newspaper talks about different things. Adrian, no, okay, sorry. So there are little things, every time the newspaper has something. How do we prepare for it so that we are utilizing it to the best of our ability? That's a good point. Adrian Lee, we will come to you in a moment. Anything else, Asim, to add? Okay, moving on. We lost you. Asim, you're muted.
Yeah. I wanted to answer this question, which Daniel Yeo has brought up, which is about a lot of campaigns being restricted donations. You have a specific kind of focus area, and that's what you're raising funds for. And the question is like, how can we do it such that it can be more generic, I guess. So, and what if there is a balance of funds which are remain? So my answer to that, Daniel, is that you can actually include that in your project description. You can share with donors that if there is an excess of funds or there's a balance of funds after the goods have been purchased, they will be used at the discretion of the organization to channel them into the best possible, to create the best possible outcomes for the beneficiaries. So, that's something which you can be transparent about in your campaigns. And the other thing which I would like to add to this is also that right now you can also consider building your monthly donor programs. And those monthly donor programs, you will have the kind of leverage to decide how best you want to use those funds.
That's a good point. And in terms of designate, that's why you need, because if you have bought it for a certain, say, food, you have it as a program, right? Some of you in your campaign have said we need 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, but that's not the full need of your organization. So share the big picture and say that of that 20,000, we want you to help us with. And when we are at 20,000, then we get to the next 40, and then to the next 60, and then to the 100,000, right? So how you write it out also makes a difference. Because very often people think you need 20,000 and that's all you need. And as charity, 20,000 is, sometimes a lot, but in many cases, there's so much more we can do if we had another 20,000. So much more we could use government funding for something else when we can actually use it for things that we've always wanted to do, but because of certain grant requirements, we've never been able to do. So now is the time when you tell the full story and then package it at different campaigns to say, in order to, if now Daniel, you're from disabilities, right? If we were to make sure every work that a person with a physical disability requires is met, what will it take? Talk about the visionary response and then your immediate response. But in order to do, before that, we just want the transport fund done. Or before that, we just want the food kit done. So that's where your 20,000, 50,000 is going to. But your campaign should be a visionary one that talks about, so the slider doesn't have to say we need 1 million. The slider still says we need 20,000 or 50,000 or 100,000, because that's what you're trying to reach immediately. But it's part of a 500,000 campaign. So hopefully that kind of helps our donors and us as nonprofit leaders to reformat the way we do our proposals online, because we are so used to doing government grants and foundation grants where you need to tell exactly what you're doing it for. Whereas for mass marketing, the positioning and the messaging is different. I hope that makes sense too. All right. Okay. Any other questions that you have? Okay, there is one more question. As a follow-up to Adrian's statement, what would be the implication or challenge of running multiple at the same time? Would it confuse the donors in terms of focus? Can we put Adrian? Adrian, can
Yeah,
Adrian
and
tell us?
yeah, if anyone like Adrian, Johnny, or Theo, if you guys are available to maybe share your responses,
What
please
happens when
let
you
us
have
know.
multiple campaigns?
Yeah, I think maybe Johnny might be Johnny or Theo. If you are able to share your experiences, please raise your
Okay,
hands.
Theo has responded, said multiple campaigns can be used to test various appeals or donor motivation. Okay,
Yeah,
that's one.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
Okay,
think I will just add to that
yeah.
that you have to think about the segmentation of your supporters and your donor base, and you have to craft a campaign that appeals to those category of donor base. So let's say you have had in the past fundraisers who have raised funds for your organization. This might be a good time to reach to them and share with them the current situation that your beneficiaries are finding themselves in. Maybe talk about there are some questions about the solidarity payment. Maybe talk about that and share that this might be a good time to consider doing a fundraiser, and that's how you will engage your fundraisers or even your corporate partners, requesting them to start a fundraiser for them. If you have monthly donors, or you have like donors who have recently donated to you, the kind of messaging and the kind of campaign you will create for them would be a little bit different. So if you guys want to take a look, you can actually go to redcross.give.asia, and on redcross.give.asia you will see a wide range of campaigns that are currently running, and all those campaigns have different angles and different positioning depending on who the target audience is.
And Theo has given an example. One of the campaign is called Pledge a Meal to Nurses, for example. So within the bigger health space, they've compartmentalized it to the caregiver, to the actual beneficiary, to the organizations. Red Cross Home for the Disabled is one. And hopefully that kind of gives, Darren, you asked a question, that you support disabilities. So how can you step up at this point in time related to COVID? So what are you doing, as an organization supporting people with disabilities? What are the challenges in a lockdown situation or a circuit breaker situation that your beneficiaries would face? What are your responses to, help them change their situation, and how can a fund be useful towards making that happen? So that kind of gives you an idea of, you don't have to just say support this organization, right? Here you can may have little campaigns that have different. So for example, if you just hold it there, Red Cross even has pandemic preparedness, and they've raised 100,000. Of course, you would say Red Cross, that's a different, kettle of fish, not like us. Sure, but even for preparedness, people are giving. They're saying that, yeah, we want to help you to prepare for, if it goes worse, or if there is a lockdown instead of a circuit breaker, to ensure that the right equipment and those kind of support is available. So that's another way in which you can break the big thing that you do into individual little campaigns and then try to raise funds for that. So even a big organization like, this is Red Cross again, right? FIO's fundraiser for COVID. Yeah, it's $2,000 and the target has been met. Can you find 5 people who will run their own campaign to raise 2,000, 5,000 among their own friends? So it doesn't mean it has to be the charity that always has to, so I'm just looking at this here, Fio's fundraiser, Nadim's fundraiser, and so on and so forth. How can we get a few of our supporters? How can your board members be of help? Can each board member take a target of 2,000, 5,000 and say, okay, I'm going to go online and get it from my friends. And if 10 board members are able to raise 3,000 each, that's already 30,000 right there. Yeah. So now you may say, our board members are not net savvy. They're all sitting at home now. Help them. Give them a DIY kit of everything they need to do and give them exactly the photo they need to post. Post it for them if you really need. I mean, in Give Asia, the help desk can help you with some of that.
Yes.
Yeah. So think of how you're going to decentralize.
I just want to add this. I think there is a thing that we are hearing from charities, which is that they are afraid that the donations are going down. But as a platform, what we are seeing is that people are actually donating more because they are feeling the pain themselves, right? They are seeing the effect of lockdown on their own, psychological well-being and also on their own movement. So they are more empathetic to people who might be in a worse off situation than them. And they are looking for, ways to give back. And this kind of segues into a very, it's a question that has been asked by some participants. One question is about how do charities band together to as a collective effort? And the second thing is how do we leverage on the current situation where all Singaporeans are getting solidarity payment from the government. So that kind of brings me into a movement that we have started. I'm just going to share the screen and talk about this grassroots movement which has started from everyday donors, and that's one way in which charities can come together to take advantage of. So Usha, maybe you can share about it and I will share my screen and show that campaign.
Yeah, so in terms of the campaign, the idea is if we have one hashtag that really looks at everybody, we give in solidarity, and the word solidarity because of the government's solidarity package. There are plenty of people in Singapore who totally need that $600. But then there are plenty of us for whom 600 or parts of it can easily go for a good cause. So that's where we give in solidarity, the hashtag came about. And those of you who have not, those who said we are not sure or we've not done or we don't have a strategy at this point in time, the least you can do is join this campaign, set up the campaign and use some of the ideas we have provided you with today, plus what we will provide you as a resource, as a follow-up. Those of you who have given your emails to us, we will send you a resource material on how you can utilize it to the best of your ability. And urgency of need is an important thing. If you wait till 1 month, I need to get board approval, I need to do this, I need to get the best picture. 1 month gone and the money is, it's old news already. So if you have to do it, you have to do it this week, next week, really. And it is a time for, it is a crisis. So if you need to work over the weekend to put up the campaign so that next week you're already rolling it, you do it. That's what we should be doing, right? In a crisis, we don't wait till all the, we need to, and if those of you who do that, you deserve not to get anything, in my opinion. But, we should be agile about it and do something about it. So these are the solidarity campaigns that are already online that you can take examples and inspirations from. So they're raising, and I did do you have that other document where I did the community-based fundraising?
Yeah, I'm going to share that.
I have you talk to this and then.
Yeah, I have a point here for all the charities. The way to be part of this movement is very simple. You just have to add a hashtag, which is we give in solidarity. So as you see, this is the hashtag we give in solidarity. So you just have to create a new campaign on Give Asia for your charity and add in this hashtag we give in solidarity. And then automatically your campaign will be showcased on this particular website, which is give.asia, we give in solidarity. We are bringing a lot of traffic to this website. So if your campaign is featured on this website, the likelihood is a lot higher that people will donate to this. So we are, bringing in traffic to this page. We today had a feature on the Straits Times. We are working with Carousel to bring people to this page as well. So I think if you can take your existing campaign or create a new campaign and just make sure that you include this hashtag we give in solidarity in it, that will also bring a lot of traffic and donations to your charity. But I cannot emphasize it enough that you have to act fast. You have to act quick, because the funding has been paid to most of the Singaporeans already, and the time to ask is right now. If you ask a week later, it's going to be less effective. If you ask in 2 weeks, it's going to be a lot less effective. So the time to create your campaign and to reach out to your constituents was actually yesterday, but let's do it today if you can.
That's right. And one of the reasons we're doing this, so Straits Times is talking about it. So the public knows that, there is such a campaign. So you are riding on that coattail, like it's a GRC. You're riding on one big news in the front so that you can get it, without you necessarily being very savvy in online fundraising at this point. And in the process, you will learn how to do it better and bigger. And this is the, if you roll up, go up to the community-based. So these are different campaigns that are going on right now. And Give Asia is, and then there are individual charities. So I don't know why Give Asia said that they're seeing a 30% drop, because frankly, the ones that I'm working with, I'm seeing a spike. So I'm not really sure, not Give Asia, giving.sg. In the newspaper said that they're seeing a 30% drop. I don't know, I haven't checked yet, I should check why they're seeing a drop. But what we're finding is, for example, when I compiled this last night, the document, Asim, put the document up. No, when I compiled it, it was 159. That was last night. This morning, it's 259. So there is already charities that are benefiting from it. So out of the 300 target, it's 259 right now. We are going down, going further down. Yeah, these are some of the other. Will you stop at Preeti, please? Now, Preeti, please. You may have known her from some of the other videos that she has prepared, and she supported TWC, the migrant workers, and the timing, when what Asim talks about the timing. The moment that the cluster with the foreign workers came out, the migrant workers came out, she went, and she's a personal, it's not an organization. She went personally, Preeti went herself, made a little video to support TWC and HealthServe. And she had $100,000 target. And how much did she raise eventually? We're trying to pull out her page. That's Preeti, please. Her target was 100,000 and she raised 279,000 from 4,000 over donors. And her video, you should go and check how she said. She says it as it was. She didn't have a light action camera. She didn't have board members having to edit the copy. They were able to, she was doing it, of course, with data from the charities she was going to support, but she said it as it is. Do you have volunteers who will go online? It's not you as a charity, but a volunteer that will go online and talk about that. And she had, it's not that she just made a sob story. She had data factual, correct. And people saw it and said, wow, not 100,000, we'll give you 270,000. Because it came from someone who actually cared. How many people do you know in your charity that actually care? And after all these years, you don't know? That's cause for concern, right? Do you have one or two or three or five people who, like Preeti, will set up their own campaign on behalf of a charity of their choice, which is hopefully yours? You want to add something, Asim?
Yeah, there's a question which I think Vince asked, like, would there be charities interested in doing like a joint campaign? So I believe like what we are doing at We Give in Solidarity is invitation to any charities that want to be part of this movement. And we understand that, doing specific partnership with charities can take a lot longer. Therefore, we have created this easy way for any charity to just create a campaign, put this hashtag in the title, and then you will be good to go. So that would be the best way, I think, to come under a movement. And this movement is slowly increasing. Usha and we actually had a call earlier with Facebook. We are trying to bring them in. We are also talking to Carousel to direct traffic to this movement. So I think it will be a lot more effective and meaningful if we all put our resources to kind of make that movement big, and then everyone will benefit from that movement. And just to add to what Usha said, like, just in the last 2 days, there have been like 3-4 press mentions of We Give in Solidarity movement. Actually, sharing a kind of an insider story, we actually wanted to launch this movement after this call, but then we realized that time was so sensitive that we ended up doing it a few days in advance. And I think we had to make that call because right now, more than anything, it's the time that we are short of. So we have to move fast to launch these campaigns really quickly.
I'm
Usha,
so glad
I think
that we did, because
yeah,
it's 270,000, which would
yeah,
have maybe not come in an opportunity cost if we had
yeah,
waited too long.
yeah. Yeah, Usha, I just want to be mindful of time. I think we can maybe take some of the Q&As and do the poll. So we have another poll. Let me know if you want to do the poll right now, or should we jump into the remaining Q&A?
Okay, maybe we can, you want to talk to Francis's question in terms of transaction charges on GiveAsia. This is specific to
Sure.
GiveAsia. Asim?
Sure. So Francis, there is a 1.5% transaction fee, which is to cover the bank charges to process credit cards or debit cards. So if someone donates $100, you will receive $98.5. There's also optional tip, but that's completely optional. So if donors want, they can add an optional tip on top of the donation. So for charities, it's a 1.5% cost. But what I would encourage you to look at is the fact that the user experience at GiveAsia is very seamless. So, even if you use the website and you're paying 1.5% to the banks, we are very confident that we will increase your donations at least 10-20% when you use our platform, because we don't enforce people to create accounts or login details. We have made it super simple for people. And the more I talk to donors, they always say that, donating online through Give is a pleasant experience. So I would say, like, take that into account.
Yeah. And just to add, I have no allegiance to any platform. My allegiance is to the sector, to ensure that the best comes for the charities. But having said that, I have realized that when it comes to donation, now people, how much do you give Grab when you're doing Grab food? How much do you give any online portal in terms of ensuring you're getting what you're giving for? People are used to the fact that there is a cost. And in the case of GiveAsia, of course, it's only the third party, which is the bank's charge. There's no other charge. But even then, if the cause is good, if the message is good, people don't ask about 1%, 2%, 5%. They really genuinely want to do good, and they know there is a cost. of transaction. There is a cost of putting the campaign together. So I am not one to say, oh, we give 0%, we give everything to charity. That means someone else has given you, correct? So it is okay for the donor to also do some heavy lifting with the charity to say, since you're doing a great job, I'm fine with you taking a couple of percent to make sure this good work continues. So I found that to be a good stand to take. Don't worry about donors not giving. And if the donor doesn't give because you're taking 1 or 2% for actually making it work, they don't deserve to be your friend. They're not your friends. There are others out there who will do it because they care about the work you're doing. And because you said the story in a way that makes them care about the work they are doing. So don't get too, worried about these little things that stop you from, many I find very often we are worried about the 1-2% and we don't get the 80, 90, 98% that we could have got. Yeah, so think about it and be open about it. If you genuinely need to add a 5% to cover your own cost, do it and tell them the reason we are doing it is because we want to sustain it. Unless you're willing to underwrite our cost as a sponsor, then we can give it to others as for free. So we're doing a good job. We don't need to apologize for it. It's how I've stood, and I've been in it for 30 years. Nobody slapped my face for it. In fact, I said you make a point. Yeah, let's go
Usha,
to the poll.
could we? Yeah, let's do the poll. So everyone, please fill up this poll. You can use multiple options. So the question is, what is the immediate support you need over the next 3 months? And there are a bunch of like options, online creatives, data analysis, usage of Facebook ads, video production, editing, overall online fundraising strategy, training, webinars on online fundraising, help with website donation or fundraising website, as well as corporate partnerships. Are you able to use multiple, or are you only able to use one? Pick one. Can I check? Oh, is it? Okay, so it seems like people are only able to pick one. So that's actually not good. Let me
Can we do top 3?
Yeah,
because the last thing we want is everything to be ticked. I know we need everything, but at least give us the priority.
So Usha, let me customize it, because right now it seems only one choice can be picked. So I'm just going to make it such that there can be multiple choices.
Okay? All right. So while
maybe in the meanwhile,
doing that, while Asim is doing that, Francis said, thanks, Usha. We have donors who prefer not to donate online, as they want to ensure the full amount goes to charity. Imagine 2,030,000 bank charges. They have spoken to us about this issue. All right. So Francis, there will be donors who are, but the thing is, for every transaction, the bank has to pay the person who is doing it, right? The bank has to maintain their online platform, right? So if the person says that, you may want to ask whether he can run his or her business or his or her household without taking any costs. Will you be able to feed your family without taking any cost? Everything you earn will go into savings. You cannot spend anything. Or every company fees a tauke, ensure that you do not spend any profit on your employees, on your database, on your whatever, your supply chain. You cannot. So why is it when it comes to for-profits, people have no problem understanding that you need money to make money, and when it comes to charity, they think that it just happens miraculously? So my observation is, it is a very small percentage that will say this. You try to explain to them. If they don't get it, move on. They're not meant for you. Really. And if they get it, they'll be friends for life. But don't just say, oh, don't apologize.
Yeah, and I would also like to I would also like to bring this point that a lot of times it is the vocal minority. There might be like, one or two people who are actually very vocal, but like people who actually, there are a lot of people that we speak to who actually value the convenience, right? Like right now, it's not a time where, they can go out or write a check, or, they can go to the bank, or they can come and visit your charity organization and pass you the money. So I think that's also something to think about, which is that the habits of people are changing very quickly. Like everyone is moving online, and people are moving from offline to online donations as well. So what I would say is that you don't need to close that door. Like you don't need to tell people that you can only donate online. If there are other channels, do share with them, but don't do a disservice to the majority who want a convenient way to make donations online. Like for them, you have to open up the door, and you have to think of this 1.5% as kind of like something that the banks charge. And I can share with you on our side, we are doing our best to see if we can get the banks to reduce this. And yeah, there is this question about like can we provide a free service to charities over the next few months. But as Usha was mentioning, that as an organization, we don't want to take that risk. Rather, what we do is we work with banks, we work with partners, and we try to see if for the long term, we can actually reduce that 1.5% fees to maybe 1%. And I think that is much beneficial, because when you pay something, even a small amount, even 1%, then you can expect and you can ask for good service standards, right? But if you are getting something for free, then you don't have much leverage either. And 1% I think is a small price to pay to make sure that you have the reliability and you have the service quality when you use
and the security, because the banks are charging for, they have a very high security standards, right? They have to meet MAS requirements and all of that.
Yeah, I would rather, as a charity, if I'm running a charity, I would rather be that that top customer rather than be a second class customer of the bank, right? Because I'm paying for it. So the poll is ready. Usha, shall we launch it?
Yes, let's go for the poll.
Okay, just launched it. Okay, I hope you guys are able to see it.
I didn't see it. No.
Not yet. Okay.
Yeah, okay, go.
Okay, here it is. All right, we have multiple responses coming in.
You take the poll. Judy, do you see the poll now? Jody? Everybody can see the poll?
So maybe,
Jody doesn't see the poll.
Yeah, maybe Jody, yes. You want to, yeah, okay, good. Shosian can see it.
Jody now?
Okay. Okay.
Jody, if you can't do it, go to the questions segment and just put down your options. So we will still have you in it.
Yeah.
Everybody okay? While we are talking about solidarity at this point in time for the solidarity budget, right? The government payout. But, we are all in lockdown. Your story can change, while the solidarity, we should try and get it between the next few days, next week. But a week later, we haven't been driving our cars. We are saving on our petrol. What happened to all the money we saved on that petrol? We are not going to church or temple or mosque. Or what happened to all the parking charges that we have saved? So your campaign can be of a different nature each time. The little campaigns that you run can be of a different, I hope all of this is for all those who are driving cars. All our supporters, volunteers, and donors and board members who are driving cars. For the past 2 weeks, you haven't been driving, or has been driving minimally. We're sure you have had some savings on the petrol, will you pass some of that savings to feed someone, clothe someone, care someone, prepare something, and so on and so forth. So your campaign doesn't have, so don't be stuck now that, oh dear, we've lost the opportunity with the solidarity payout. Solidarity means whatever we get that we can give someone else is the time, pay it forward. You know, we're not going to church or temple or wherever. You know, if we were going, we would have gone out for a meal with our church mates, friends, family. We're not doing that. We're eating at home. Highly likely we are saving there. Can we take a part of that and give it to somebody who needs a meal? You know, and so on. So we've not gone shopping. Of course, online shopping is still there, but because the deliveries are not there, a lot of us are not buying clothes or shoes. So who is it? Daniel, is it, who said with disabilities? Many of you haven't bought shoes for the past month. The savings from having not bought the shoe, will you pass it on to someone who needs a wheelchair? That's the kind of campaigns you can run, you know, and people will, it triggers. They're thinking like, oh yeah, huh? I could do that. So it doesn't have to be COVID related alone. Think of what you need to make the life of your beneficiary a little better tomorrow than it is today, and talk to your donors genuinely, honestly, transparently about it, and donors will respond.
Yeah, and do that in a agile manner. Try out different campaigns. Like Usha already gave some really good ideas, and you can try those kind of ideas as well. And then you can also, join different movements that are going on. As I said, we give in solidarity because of the solidarity payment is a good idea, which every charity can use. I think the media has done a good job in talking about, what are the issues that migrant workers are facing. But I'm sure that your beneficiaries, like, if you are taking care of elderly with dementia, or you're taking care of, people who are kidney dialysis patients, their lives have also been affected. Their caregiving and their, being able to take care of them, there are challenges that you are facing. And it's your job to share those human stories of real people and pass that to the public so that they can support you. So I would just urge you to not think of it as competition in any way. This is basically you sharing your story and then giving the opportunity of people who resonate with it to be able to support your cause. I'm just going to quickly address like a couple of questions that are coming again in terms of the different cost of the admin fees. So the bank charges 1.5%, and someone asked, if $2 million is raised, that's about 30,000 in bank charges. I will take that, right? Like if I have a way to raise $2 million, and the bank is charging 1.5% of that, I will take that gladly, happily, because I don't have to worry about a lot of things, from operational point of view, from making it seamless point of view. Of course, if someone is signing a check of $2 million, yeah, I will definitely ask them to give me a check. But if you are getting, a million donors, or you're getting 100,000 donors to give $200 each, I think this 1.5% is not what we should be focusing on. What we should be focusing is on the ease of use, the convenience, and having the ability to reach out to a lot of people. But yes, if your donation size is above like 100,000 per donation, I think it's a much better idea for you to ask them to send the money directly to you. The other question is, is Give Asia looking at different tier bank charges for different size charities, like 1.5%, 1%, 0.8%? We 1.5% that we charge, it's the cost of the bank charges. This is one of the lowest in I would say the world, or even in the region. Because we don't charge any platform fees, and we have negotiated to get the lowest. We are constantly working with the banks to see if it can be even reduced further. So we will do whatever we can do. And I don't think we will have different tiers, because we want to be fair to every charity regardless of their size.
And there is another question that says, giving.sg has waived the admin, so I would say, really online, your online fundraising strategy should cover all platforms. This is not where we are saying you need to be on GiveAsia. You know, what we are saying is there is an opportunity. GiveAsia has taken time and effort to get to this. I'm supporting them because it's a people's movement. It's not government underwriting the cost of operations. So for me, whether it's if you need to go to giving.sg to do it, but do it because our donors and our beneficiaries want that it be done. So it doesn't matter if really, the 0% is all that really matters. Go to where you can get it, no problem. But ensure that the learnings from this webinar and the learnings of others are taken and you make a strategy that works for you so that your beneficiaries can benefit from it. So don't let this, tiny little things be the reason for you for choosing what to do, what not to do. Look at the big picture, look at the big strategy, and then see which are the ones. And you need to be on all three platforms, go for it. Your own website, GiveAsia or giving.sg. It really doesn't matter.
And
but the question is, where are you getting the resources from?
Yeah, and test it and experiment it, right? Like, put some campaigns on either platforms, do similar amount of marketing and see like, which platform is working better for you. So I think at the end of the day,
and Adrian in one of the comments said, they invest in EDM systems, they look at the campaign and they create it and they evaluate which ad worked. So like we said, have little campaigns. You realize one campaign does better than the other two, then go for the one that works because that's the one you're testing. Similarly, evaluate your different platforms. This webinar is not to say that you have to be on one particular platform. This webinar is about you need to be agile and you need to be online because you deserve to do that for your beneficiaries. You deserve to give your donors an opportunity to make a difference in the lives of your beneficiaries. It's not about what platform you use. And if at the end of the day, the last thing you learned is, the percentages, I would rather that you just go with the one that gives you zero, really, but
Usha,
are you getting the resources is the question.
Yeah, we got to be mindful of time. We actually have passed the 1 hour mark. So maybe in 2 minutes we can wrap up.
So in terms of next steps, those of you who are in, who have given us your email, we are going to send you a resource.
We have everyone's email address. We have everyone's email.
Perfect.
And
because
organization
there was an anonymous person just now,
No,
right?
we would still have it. We would still have it.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah.
So if you have, so we will be sending you by next week a resource with insights, both from today's conversations as well as we're going to give you data on some of the campaigns that are running. You can just scroll down that share the screen with that various campaigns, just to give you, what kind of data information you're going to get. So we will send you that. We will send you insights from what we've just learned. Asim and I will put down things that are working. Yeah, so these are some of the campaigns, and we are really looking at, which are the ones that are working, what works, what doesn't work, and so on and so forth. And Asim and GiveAsia's help desk is available. If you are on GiveAsia running a campaign, the help desk is available. What else, Asim? We will come back to you again with another webinar because, as Asim said, we just had a call with some of the corporate partners that we are trying to mobilize for the solidarity campaign. So we will be coming in with updates on what are some of those areas that they're able to support those running the campaign with. All right. If you have any other comments, just leave it on our chat. We will read and we will, and do let us know how this has been useful to you before you log out so that we can at least learn in the process also. All right. So all the best, go forth and raise. And we're here to help you every step of the way, and we'll keep in touch with you.